Hello and good morning. I am Ron Miscavige, and this is another life lesson. And thank you for tuning in today. What I have to tell you today is another one of these gems that if you can adopt this, and I'm sure you will once you get through with this is going to really help you out in life and save you for a lot of baloney that you might get into if you just apply this one datum. So here we go. And of course, I have a story to tell you that happened to me, so I think you'll be able to relate to this a little better by hearing this. When I got out of the Marine Corps back in 1956, I worked for my dad for a little while, and I saw that wasn't going to really work out. So I got a job working in a research plant, a place called Hydrocarbon Research in Trenton, New Jersey. And what that was is a plant that did research on hydrocarbons like oil, like coal, silt, and things like that. I got a job there working as an operator, meaning I operated a miniature reactor that oil went through, and it was infused with hydrogen, went through a catalyst, and it was under 3,300 pounds per square inch pressure, which is very interesting because if anything blows on that, it'll blow up and kill you. So there's a little bit of danger in that. So I had to learn something about physics and engineering to do that. Anyway, it was an interesting job. And quite honestly, I liked it quite a bit. I took to it and I studied and became a pretty good operator, and I worked hard. Anyway, I was there about a year, and we were going to get a pay. And that day I was working from 12 midnight to 8 in the morning. So I got through my shift and went down. We got our envelopes with the pay and the pay raise. And I opened it up, and there were two guys standing next to me who worked with me. And I said, "How much did you get?" Both of them got double the amount that I did. Now, the way they did it, I saw immediately because they were professional butt kissers. In other words, they were goddamn brown nosers. That's all they did. As far as productivity, I was probably twice as productive as them, took more responsibility. Matter of fact, one of the guys' unit ran into trouble. He came up kind of almost crying to me, "Help me with this," and I had to get down and do something that saved it from blowing up. Anyway, the point is, that's how you would get a raise in that company if you were a butt kisser. I couldn't make myself do that. That was not in my nature. And at that moment, I saw what is with that company as far as getting a raise and as far as me progressing in it. That's what today's subject is about. The ability to look at what is. And it's a damn important point, I got to tell you. Now, when I say you look at what is, you don't look at something and say, well, it's this way, except this guy is a certain way, well, that's okay, and this girl is a certain way, well, that's okay. No. You look at something and see what is. And I looked at that dead in the eye. To work there and progress, you had to be a professional brown noser. And at that moment, I decided. I walked out. It was 8 o'clock. The sun was coming up. And at that very moment, I can remember, I've got to make a change. That was my decision. Within about a week and a half, I got a job as a salesman. Went to work, really applied myself, and the first year I sold for that company, I was the 5th highest salesman out of 3,000. I'm not saying this to brag, but I'm saying this because it was my decision and my ability at that time to see what is. Let me expand on that a bit so you can use it in your life. Maybe you have a job and things are going, well, maybe okay, but not quite okay, and you're thinking, am I going to be able to tolerate this? Well, sometime just take a look at what is where you work. How is the working environment? How are the people you work with? How is the management? And if it's, when you really look at it without making excuses for the way it is, and you look at what is, you decide, wait a minute, do I want to work here? Or do I want to make an improvement in myself so I can progress? And maybe you can. Maybe after looking at it, you decide, well, I see Joe over there. He got a raise because he learned how to do a new skill, or he went to night school. Yeah, this is good. Okay. After I looked at what is, I'm going to stay here. Or you could look at it and see, okay, it's only relatives of the company, or they bring in other people to management and say, what the hell am I doing here? Go looking for another job. And maybe educate yourself a little more. But do something about it. And it starts with the willingness to look at what is. Let's talk about a personal relationship. You're going with somebody. Maybe the sex is great. But other than that, you argue half the time, all the time, whatever. You're hanging in there because, well, it's going to change. It'll change. I'm sure it's going to be that. Let me tell you something. You ever see a cat change into a dog? You're whistling Dixie. Look at what is with that person and think, do I want to live with this the rest of my life? If you don't, do something about it. Confront the fact that you're in a situation that is going nowhere and you're going to get out of it. Now, let's say you look at what is and you include yourself in this and you say, no, wait a minute. I'm pretty goddamn critical. That's a little bit of a flaw. I don't have to be that way. Maybe you yourself need that change. You know what? I think I'm causing a lot of these things. So apply that new rule. Maybe you get along great after that. See, this is a two-edged sword. So it's something to really consider. Now, will you be able to do this? My friend, let me tell you something. You are far more capable of doing anything than you've ever imagined. The problem is this. You are your own worst enemy. I'm telling you, people criticize themselves and they put themselves down. You know, there's an old saying, you know, what you put there is what you're going to get. Like, if you have some friends and something, you're putting that they're great guys and everything, maybe they will turn out to be great guys. You got to apply that to yourself. Give yourself credit for being far more able than you think you are. And how do you apply this? You just go ahead and do it. You look at what is, and then do whatever you have to do to handle it. Or maybe there's nothing to handle. Do you see how that works? Anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today, and I think, I hope I've made the point, because I'm telling you, if you apply this, you'll save yourself a lot of grief, and you'll have a lot more happiness in your future. So I wish you were to do that, okay? So that's today's life lesson, and I'm glad you tuned in. If you could do me a favor, okay? And I'll tell you what that favor is. Let's get 100,000 people watching this show. Could you imagine if you got all of your friends and they got all of their friends and everybody got this? We could have a nice effect on society. I don't know if you're tracking with me on there. I'm sure you are, as a matter of fact. That's a simple goddamn point. But that would be something you could do as a favor for me. Get more people to subscribe to this. And if you care, you can become a Patreon. Go to my website, which is therealronmiscavige.com. You'll see the other things I do. I'm a musician. I do interviews of other people in different subject. I'm a writer. I've written books. So go there and you can see. And also, if you'd like to become a patron and contribute something on a monthly basis, I would also appreciate that. But let's get more people watching this. And hopefully we can make a nice effect on society, because the more people that are able, the more people that are happy, the more people that are succeeding in life, the better off everybody is. That's today's life lesson. I'm going to stop talking. I'm Ron Miscavige. This is Life Lessons. I will see you on the next lesson. Goodbye for now.